slight interruption there for a battery change. So yes, where was I? I was telling you about this contentious, supposedly, possibly, part of the story. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just repeating what I've read. So there was this published UFO researcher looking into this particular event. He'd been up here and was approached by somebody through a contact of his with some information, and after some toing and froing, this is what we learned. They've been going out as a group to a local pub, I think in Berwyn or somewhere like that, doesn't matter exactly where, and one chap was a designated driver, so he would have been not drinking. Now the UK drink drive laws were in existence at that time, so although that sounds like a particularly modern thing to do, let's just assume it's terminology. Designate your driver. He was just the one who was not drinking. So on the way back, they came along the road towards Llandrillo, and we're going to be taking that road in a second. We've already been along it once, but I'm actually going to now hopefully get a decent bit of filming in. Now they had quite an experience, if what they tell us is correct. They had quite an experience. I do like these bends. Now I'm not going particularly fast because I haven't got heaps of petrol, and the road surface isn't going to be great. It doesn't look too bad. It doesn't actually feel too bad, but there are places where there's bits of gravel and you're suddenly getting rivers going across. Now I'm going to have to make some assumptions here in this part of the story, because it hasn't, as far as I'm aware, been published to any great detail. Okay, so they've come from Bala, they've turned off down this road, the B4402. This is the road to Corwin, and this is therefore the road that I'm assuming they've taken. They're not going to be taking a little tiny back lane, they'll take the most major of the roads. All would have been well and good at this stage. They'd have been having a good laugh and a joke, I expect. I would have thought they would have been oblivious to the earthquake as well, and probably to the bang. There's not something I've read that they would have noticed it, so I would assume they hadn't. So the nurse will have gone in a moment off to our right. I'll show you the road. You'll probably recognise it actually, because we've just come up there from the village. And I'm assuming, since this was a group of chaps and we've got a designated driver, this is probably going to be later than the 2038, so it's going to be certainly later than 9 o'clock. I don't know what the pubs were like on opening hours in those days in this area. Whoops, I've gone wrong. Yes, so the chaps would have been coming from our left, back up here. And it was along this stretch of road, between those two villages, that they spied something very strange. Now, because of what happens, I can only assume it was on this particular stretch. They claim to have come across scene of an unidentified flying object, not flying, but indeed crash landed. 5 aliens, much in the Roswell style. Were out of the craft, and some were clearly injured, a couple were staggering around. I think a couple might have been dead. I can't remember the exact details, so don't quote me, but certainly we have 5 people. We also have some army personnel. Because it was on the stretch of road, one member of the army contingent has stopped these said gentlemen and told them to go away and to turn around. And one of them's gone, yes, certainly, yeah, we'll go round. And when they've turned around, they've turned around and gone back into the village. They've said, I know where we can go and we can still see what's gone on. And there's a lane that runs the other side of the River Dee. I drove it the other day. It's just a single track lane. And from that lane they claim to have taken some photographs of these aliens and the army. Now, there are different pieces of information that relates to this. Some people, it appears, believe that dead aliens were taken to Chester, to an army establishment there. Other people have claimed that some were taken to the Hackbury nuclear shelter, nuclear bunker. You know, the one I went to for the motorbike bunker meet. We'll never know, I'm sure. Certainly not in our lifetime. But the interesting thing would be, it would have been night time. How would they have been able to take photos in January without being then spotted and having the army chase after them? There are also numerous sightings in these villages, supposedly of people walking around asking lots of questions in the days after the event. Some people believe these were parts of the British Geological Society looking into the earthquake. Some people say they were the UK equivalent of the Men in Black. Other people say it was a mixture. You know, there could be lots of different explanations. I don't know. But whatever, there were a lot of people on the area. So let's just assume that these chaps, what the story we've got is true. And they had been turned off. Let's go and have a look. See, first of all, we've got a railway here, disused now. I don't know whether it would have been there, but the embankment certainly would still have been there then. It's a shame because this road was all nicely flooded the other day. Not deep, just enough there to make it photogenic. I am disappointed. So I'm just going to pop up here. I'm not going to go far because there's not a lot to gain from it. It'd just be a bit boring. Let's get an area with a good viewpoint. If I remember rightly, we've got a lay-by or something up here. It was there, wasn't it? Ah, God, that's an idiot. So it's Upper Brunnis. Right, so let's just see. Can you see the other side of the road? It's difficult, isn't it? So shall we go down the lines of, they must have been somewhere else. It's certainly going to have been how we'll put it, difficult. They must have had binoculars or something. That's quite a long way, but we must take them on their word, because it would be wrong not to. We don't know these people. Sure, they aren't making up silly stories. I'll have to leave that up to you to decide. This is pretty, isn't it? So, was there an unidentified flying object? Were there aliens landing, or by a crash landing? Were they taken to Chester or Hat Green? What was the orange bubble, ball, whatever you want to call it, up in the sky? Now there is one other part to this story which I haven't mentioned. Now there is one other part to this story I haven't mentioned. When the police arrived back down in Fundrillo, they went up to one of the farms and they commandeered a Land Rover. And not only did they commandeer the Land Rover, they commandeered a 14-year-old to drive them up into the mountain. There they found a car that was abandoned by poachers. Poachers were up there, that has been confirmed. They were hiding, they saw the police. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think that lights were also seen by these people. But it wasn't the poachers, because the poachers were hiding behind bushes, so they couldn't be spotted. So they didn't have their lights on. So here we are back in Llandrillo. What do you think? Do you think it was simply a matter of an earthquake and these mysterious, these lights that are supposed to come out of the ground when there's an earthquake? Do you think spacecraft had crashed on the road and that the army were taking them away? Do you think it's all a load of old rubbish? I'll leave that up to you to decide. I don't know what happened, I wasn't here. And I think that's the big thing, we weren't here, we'll never really know. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed looking at some of these lanes. They're not bad little lanes, are they? It's just a bit of an excuse to go and ride a couple of roads. I'm thinking of what may or may not have happened and the furore around it. We are not alone, as they say. Or are we? Do, 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 as they say, as my wife said when I was telling her about it. So I guess the next best thing we can do is actually go up there one night and actually see if we can see any UFOs. Apparently this is supposed to be a bit of a hot spot. This time of year I think it'll be far from hot, I think it'll be cold. Yeah, that might be an interesting one. I might even tack, if we do it, I might tack it on the end here or do it as a little part 2. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's given you something to think about. And I'll leave you with a little bit more footage of this road. It'll be 4402, I think it is, as we're heading back towards the Reed Estate and towards Corwin. Thanks for watching, see you again soon. Bye.
Question.